City London 94.9.
The time is 18 minutes past 7 and it is the 5th of February, and just in case you're wondering, it's Thursday. At the last election, 2/3 of 18 to 24-year-olds did not bother voting. Overall, only 65% of Londoners turned out at the ballot box. Well, campaigners are striving to get more of us, especially younger people, registered to vote and engaged with the process ahead of the election in May, which is why they're staging today's National Voter Registration Day. We're going to speak to Luke Jones now from Abbeywood. He's 19, first-time voter. Good morning to you, Luke.
Good morning.
So, are you planning to vote on May the 7th then? And if so, are you excited?
I'm not, to be honest.
Why not?
Because I don't see any, parties that recommend to me, so I don't really bother.
So what would a party have to do to get you to vote? What would a party have to stand up?
Well,
what politician would have to stand up and say what to get you to vote?
Well, they could help people, for example, help people in the poorer areas and help people find jobs easily, because I know how hard it is to find a job. So it's just you need to find. Politicians need to find a way to help the poor people.
Well, certainly some parties claim they're all about helping the less well off, all about helping deprived parts of London. So would those parties not interest you, Luke?
I'm not really into politics that much, so I didn't really look into the parties that much. But what I've seen on TV and the radio and stuff like that, none of them really go because taxes and all that. So, because I know how hard it is to find the money, because there's no jobs out there, to be honest.
So it's kind of unemployment and helping the less well off. Thank you very much, Luke. Luke Jones there from Abbeywood. He's 19. Could be a first-time voter. Doesn't sound like he's going to bother. And that, I suppose, is the problem facing people like Dura, a former gang member, and now somebody involved, a community worker who's involved in a campaign he founded called Vote4X. Good morning, Dura.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you. What would you say to Luke to persuade him he needs to vote, or at least to register to vote?
I'll tell Luke that it's very important that he registers to vote, because he raised some very valid points there, but the politicians will not be aware of these points because he's not a registered voter.
Except that when you just put an X, it could be forgiven for saying, well, it's an X, but what about if I only agree with some of the manifesto and I don't agree with all of it?
But then still let them know that you don't agree with all of them, and let them know which ones you don't agree with, so that they can then amend those to suit you if they want your vote. I believe that politicians need to earn the youth vote. It's not just something that should be given to them just because they're a party that's running.
Do you think part of the problem is that politicians get obsessed with haggling over the details, when actually people want rather broader brushstrokes? This is what I think of this very short sentence. This is what we are going to do about that short sentence. And the trouble is that politicians, and perhaps the media is to blame as well, goes too deeply into things when actually younger people just want a kind of headline.
That's very true. Young people are very straight to the point. I feel like politicians like to hear their own voice a lot, so they're very repetitive in what they say and how they get their points across. Young people are not really interested in that. We want change and we want it now.
Let's rewind a bit from Dura. What is Vote4X?
Vote4X is a campaign that we're using to engage young people in politics. Just like Luke mentioned, he's not really interested, but we're targeting those young people that have not registered to vote. First step is we want to get them to register to vote, and then they can then look at the different political parties, look at their policies. If they do then find nothing they agree with, they should then, it's a protest vote to let the politicians know that they need to start reaching out to young people and meeting their needs.
Is it also perhaps because maybe MPs need to engage more on social networks? I mean, we're talking about, for example, in this particular election, this National Voter Registration Week, Facebook is going to actually send out encouraging messages to people who are over 18 to try to get people to vote. But is there enough engagement on those forums?
Absolutely not. There's not enough engagement on those forums, and there's not enough engagement in total, period. I feel young politicians need to reach out to young people, let them know that they're people as well. Politicians, they feel very high and mighty, in my opinion, and they always want people to come to them, but the demographic in which we're targeting with Vote4X are not going to reach out to politicians if they got a problem. They don't even know that they can. A lot of them don't know who their local MP is for them to reach out to them. So it's, as a politician, it's your role, it's your job to make yourself available to the people in your community. And they're not doing that with young people.
I wonder if part of this is a presentation problem. For example, we hear a lot about Russell Brand, who's nearly 40 now, so he's older than some members of Parliament. Yet he seems to be more in tune with the views of some young people than much younger politicians.
That's true. A lot of politicians come from similar backgrounds. There's not enough diversity in there. There's not enough. The House of Parliament doesn't really represent the multicultural nature of our country, and everyone literally kind of studies from private school and this background, that background. There's not enough working class people in there. There's not enough people that really understand the struggles.
Stand for Parliament.
Sorry?
Would you stand for Parliament?
No.
Why not?
That's too small for me.
Too small?
Yeah, because I feel like there's too many restraints. I want the world, not just a part of the UK.
Dura, thank you for joining us. Dura, former gang member and our community worker who's founded that campaign we heard about, Vote 4X. It's BBC London 94.9 at 7:24.